Hello and welcome to Movie of the Year, the only podcast with the science and the screaming to pick the best movie for any given year. We are doing 1988 this year. I'm Greg. With me is my best friend Taylor.
What's up, guys? Oh, yeah, I feed on your energy. I feed on your hate. I eat it up and I grow fat with it.
Should be Ryan.
I grow large with your hate.
Also here is Ryan.
Yay! Listen to the crowd.
The crowd
Yeah.
responding
Yay.
very favorably to Ryan. Ryan is the baby face, Taylor clearly the heel.
Hey, listen, I relish being the heel. I grow fat on being the heel.
Okay, that's kind of, you just could do that one thing.
Yeah, I have that one thing.
We are down to 4 movies in 1988. Ryan, you're kind of like our cinema guy.
Yes.
There was more movies made in 1988 than 4.
There was 16 movies made in 1988.
So 4 times as many
Yeah.
movies. If my
And we
math
said to those
says,
other 12, get out of here.
no, thank you. What are the 4 movies that we have left, of which one of these is going to be the movie of the year? We don't know what it is yet.
So the 4 movies are, and I don't know, like, which of these are surprises to you? Die Hard?
Okay, that I think, that's so obvious, that
That's
one.
that's the battery one?
Not a surprise.
Akira.
I think that's a little bit of a surprise.
Because I'm on a show with 2 knuckleheads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you guys feel good about that? Like you're representing
Yes,
all of
100%,
humanity.
yeah. I
You have
definitely
you've hitched your wagon to sort of 2 dodos.
Yeah.
And so that you're going to get sort of nonsensical. We outnumber you now.
Yeah, and we're best friends.
Yeah.
So this is what it... Ryan,
For now.
Ryan,
For now.
you now feel what I feel every other episode I've been on.
My Neighbor Totoro.
Yeah.
I think that's a little bit of a surprise. To be a final 4, I think that's a surprise.
Yeah.
But less so than Akira, right? Akira's like not that good of a movie.
You're so wrong. Why are you so wrong?
I think it definitely has more of a favorable cultural imprint.
Is it weird
than
for you guys to
Akira.
root for My Neighbor Totoro, despite the fact that the giant fictional bunny rabbit never has an arm that shoots out like a giant veiny penis and like attacks the city?
That is weird for
That's
me. Because,
odd, right?
Because both Die Hard and the other movie you're going to announce
Yeah.
have that as well.
What's weird for me is that Totoro has like human teeth,
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
which is somehow worse than just having like a bunch of sharp teeth.
Like the
Yeah.
Sonic that society just decided to get rid of.
Yeah,
It's
we,
like if
we
you-
canceled that movie.
Like, if you ever showed me, like, a fish that had human teeth, I'd be like, put that in the ground.
Yeah.
Like, kill that thing.
He's got a big
Oh, no.
set of human teeth.
Don't kill it. Bury it alive. That's what that teeth fish deserves.
Yeah, fuck that teeth fish.
And then your final movie is Big.
Yeah, and I don't think that's a surprise.
It's just Tom Hanks being big.
Yeah, he's big.
There are
He's bigger than before.
There are shots and scenes in this movie that are like as big as film itself. Not just film of the 80s, but like scenes that would be included in a like this is what movies were montage.
Yeah, which happens every year at the Oscars, and that scene is included every year.
Remember movies, everybody?
Like Die Hard, you're climbing through vents. You're thinking about a billion different movies. You're
Yeah.
not thinking about Die Hard. Big, you're eating baby corn. You're thinking about Big.
For sure.
You can't get Big out of your
I
head.
was eating baby corn just the other night, and I was like, big. I said to the baby corn, it was like,
By the way, Greg, just so you know, baby corn could be just a part of a dinner, not your entire. You don't have to only
you
eat
guys
that
should
for
just
dinner.
sit down to a big plate of baby corn?
No, nobody does
wow.
that.
So I'm like, I'm going to eat a bunch of these babies right now.
It feels very 80s in that it's America versus one country. It should
Yeah.
be Russia. In this case, it's Japan.
And it is
Yeah,
so
because Russian movies suck.
it's so 80s to have it be Japan.
Yes,
too.
it's us versus somebody.
Yeah, and us versus the other big economy that's on the grow that we're got the hates for. All right, when we come back, we are going to get to more of our sweet awards. Ryan, I think people seek out these awards, most of them, but I think this next one,
This is a biggie.
these are the ones. Yeah, they mean a lot to us, but I think this is the one where nobody ever comes to collect any of their awards. But specifically, they don't come to collect this one.
You see, Taylor, we don't have a best villain because that's easy, right? Best villain. Who's the bad guy of the movie? Villain is different than biggest shithead.
Yeah.
Who was the biggest shithead of 1988? And
Because-
that means like it's not just like Alien from Alien, the movie Alien, where there was the alien. Do you remember?
I do,
Alien?
yeah.
That's not biggest shithead. She's just trying to feed,
Yeah.
protect her family. But she doesn't have that 80s, I'm a douchebag, idiot, asshole thing.
Like the mop of blonde hair.
Right.
My dad owns this mountain, and we're going to shut down all skiing on it unless you can beat me at the big ski.
Oh, no.
competition
We're talking about
at the
Cobra
end of
Kai,
the year.
people.
Is that a plot line in Cobra Kai? Are they going to a ski lodge?
Yeah, they spent a lot of season 2 of Cobra Kai is them skiing.
They're ski fighting.
Yeah.
This is also crazy because
Cobra Sky. No.
in the last episode we gave away Best Supporting Actor.
Mm-hmm.
Not everyone in 88 was a Best Supporting Actor. But everyone in 88 was in contention for biggest shithead. So
Yeah.
this is
That
a
is
tough
true.
one.
A very douchey year. All right, Ryan, give him to us, man.
Your first one is Harry Ellis from Die Hard.
Okay, now
The beard-wearing, coke-doing,
Yes.
wants to fuck Bonnie Bedelia asshole.
the one that takes it upon himself to go negotiate with the terrorists.
And then gets shot the fuck out of.
Is this the stereotype for shitheads in movies now?
If 1988 had a flag, his face would be on
Yeah,
it.
if 1988 became a person,
Billy
it would be this
Zabka, the guy who was in the ski movie that Greg was talking about and in Cobra Kai, looks up to this person like this is his mentor.
He basically is always shushing women and saying, "I'll handle this," and then doing just an awful job.
Also, if you walk past a woman, you thrust your crotch out a little bit to make sure that your wiener goes against them.
And then just blowing rails.
And ruined beards for 20 years.
Yeah. The beards in the 80s really had a tough time, and it's because of guys like this.
His competition, though, guys, is Paul from Big.
Ooh.
John Hurd.
Paul in Big is... I feel like these are two, they're brothers, but one is...
Whose parents? What were these parents doing if these two were brothers?
It's one is the West Coast brother and the other is the East Coast brother.
Okay.
So one of them is blowing rails and he's got a beard. The other one, very preppy. He probably owns a boat. And he's just he's a real uppity, business-minded shithead. Whereas West Coast brother, he's a very I'm doing business just so that I can party shithead.
Yeah.
And they're both equally terrible shitheads.
Paul was basically a two-dimensional bully in Big until the handball or racquetball scene where we saw him fight Tom Hanks, and Tom Hanks was a 12-year-old in a grown man's body, and he acts still like a 12-year-old in a grown man's body.
Yeah, if you said, I'm going to show you this scene, one of these
Which
guys
one?
is a 12-year-old in an adult's body, and the other one is an adult in an adult's body. You try to guess which, watching them tussle and struggle on the ground.
I wouldn't be able to do it. Simply would not be able to do it, Greg.
Taylor, there are experts who would not be able to do it. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
They're shithead experts.
Shithead experts who have watched thousands of hours of shithead footage. And
Did they go over there to Shithead U? Studying shitheadology?
SU?
Your next nominee is also from Die Hard. This is Richard Thornburg, the reporter, played by William Atherton, who was the all-time shithead in Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
In case you forget what he looks like.
This guy was just always, they were all right, you got a super secret part of this mission. And he would just appear from the corner, be like, hey, can you answer a few questions?
And we always remember that Reginald Bell Johnson from the hit show Family Matters killed a guy right at the end of Die Hard. But we forget that Bonnie Bedelia punches the fuck out of Richard Thornburg because he went to her house and interviewed her kids and put them on air.
I do feel like this was a character that existed in the 80s that doesn't exist now, which is the mean reporter. Mm-hmm. Why are you asking all these questions? Why are you being so insensitive? Just let the police do their jobs and don't question who they kill and push out of buildings or blow up. God.
Yeah. Fucking, asshole vultures.
Yeah.
Your next nominee is Smartass, the lead weasel from Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
I hate these fucking weasels.
There was a big conversation on our Roger Rabbit show about who was the Samuel L. Jackson from Django. Was it Judge Doom or was it Smartass? Was he the house slave who fucked over all of the cartoons?
I think it might be Smartass because I get what Judge Doom's getting out of it. I have no idea what these fucking weasels get out of it.
What do you get? Bags of money?
They are just shitheads for the purpose of being shitheads.
I think they're just natural born henchmen.
Yeah.
So they'll just do.
But why not be Toon henchmen for the Toons?
Probably just because Doom is the one who showed up, man.
But all of the other weasels are clearly henchmen. But this guy feels like that he has a brain and he's doing this on purpose.
Yeah, he's the one with an actual personality.
And
I do know I hate him.
The final shithead, and I remember the scene where this nominee was won. He's sitting on a throne after destroying a bar, and then two of his friends come in, and he starts making fun of them before he kills them. It's Tetsuo from Akira. This guy's a fucking shithead.
Yeah,
he is the biggest arm-wise shithead on the list.
This is when villain and shithead sort of run together. Because Harry Ellis is not the villain of Die Hard.
No.
But Tetsuo is both the villain and the shithead of Akira.
Yeah.
He's a weird character because he is bullied all the time, and he is weak and he always needs to be saved. And then he gets a little bit of power, and he reveals himself to be just a very, very small
petty piece of
person.
shit.
And this is also where he and Harry Ellis combine, which is he gets a little bit of power and does a shit ton of drugs. And then instead of getting shot up, he destroys an entire city and commits mass slaughter.
Is Die Hard a lesser movie because it never had that Harry Ellis arm come out?
I think so. Well, that was in the deleted director's cut.
It was. I need to watch
Where his
that.
arm just mutates and turns into...
Yeah. And then they're like, Akira just did that, so we're going to cut it.
We're going to cut it off.
We're already in Nakatomi Plaza. So.
We don't need to be too confused.
All right, gentlemen, these are some 5 shitheads. We have Harry Ellis, Paul, Richard Thornburg, Smartass, and Tetsuo.
All right.
Who can win this?
I have the very fancy special envelope.
Taylor, it's good to go with Die Hard right now, based on how the last episode went. But there's 2 Die Hards here.
I know that's
I don't know
gonna
what
be
to
hard.
do.
That can split the Die Hard vote.
Yeah.
You have to be
Right.
cognizant
It's just like
of
Amy
that.
Adams every year. She just doesn't. She just too
Too
many,
much Amy Adams.
She does too many good roles, and they don't give it to her.
Gentlemen, our winner is from Die Hard, and it is Harry Ellis.
Congratulations.
The thing, though, about this guy is that he's the biggest shithead in cinema history.
Yeah, like when people think shithead, they think of this guy.
Such a shithead.
You really do come away from this movie hating him more than any of the terrorists.
Definitely more than Gruber. Even more than the Thor guy.
Yeah, some of them just love being terrorists, and you're just like, you know what? You're still better than that douchebag. When we come back, we are going to get to our first round 2 battle, which is Die Hard versus Akira.
God,
Stay
that's what's
tuned.
going to happen.
Hey guys, just briefly interrupting here to lay down some very smooth commercials. If you were on the internet, which I am many times, go on over to yourpopfilter.com. That is your central hub for all the things we're doing. You can get our podcast and see what we are up to on that website. Taylor,
Yes.
tell the folks about the Amazon.com.
If you'd like to shop on Amazon.com, you should instead go to yourpopfilter.com/Amazon. Buy all your things through there, and it helps us out a little bit with no extra work from you, other than just going to that extra little bit at the front of the URL.
That sounds like a dream. Ryan, YouTube.
Yeah, make sure that you're going to YouTube. If you like listening, but there's not enough for your eyes to do, we totally understand. Go to YouTube, search for Your Pop Filter, and there's a lot of skitsies and bitsies on there that have visuals as well.
Wow, that sounds amazing. Social media, you can find us on twitter.com @yourpopfilter, or also now available on Instagram
Hey.
@yourpopfilter. Check us out on the social media. Taylor, contacts.
If you want to contact us, you can contact us at contact@yourpopfilter.com. If you like the show and you want to tell us how much you love it, or if you hate the show and you want to tell us how much you hate it, send us that. Or if you want to call us on a phone, you can do that at 1-562
Dr. DJ Pop.
DJ Pop. That's 1-562 DRDJPOP. He's our little robot associate, and he takes our messages for us. One of his hands is a...
Spatula.
His other hand is a...
Spatula Maker.
Hell yeah, so he's always got extra hands.
All right, well, those are the commercials, guys. Let's get you right back to that show.
Some of these contests are not super difficult, but some of them are pretty tough. In the first round, Die Hard housed Rain Man. We had no doubt that
Die
was gonna
Hard
win.
undressed Rain Man, made him naked, and then hosed him down with one of those jail hoses.
Yeah, which is really hot water. And
Right.
it
I like the
burns
way that
baby.
you use the phrase "made him naked."
Naked. But then in the matchup where Akira fought Naked Gun, it was not quite clear who was going to win until the very end. And now those two movies are squaring off against each other. This is Die Hard versus Akira. What do you guys think?
I'm so nervous to come into this conversation because I don't know where the tone's going to go. Like, are we going to start talking about Akira? Are we going to start talking about Die Hard?
Why don't we talk about both of them?
Are we going to start thinking? Like, are we
Because
thinking on the moment
the
right
one
now?
that we start talking about
Is
you
the
feel
one that
like
loses,
Is
yes.
the loser.
So let's talk about Die Hard.
You son of a fucking bitch.
Here's what I will say. This is, I think, for me, these could be 1 and 2. Like, this could be the final for me.
These are definitely 1 and 2.
This is your Roger Rabbit Totoro for me.
Yeah. So, like, this is such a hard decision. I think that both of these movies, in their own and separate ways, like essentially changed movies.
Pop culture.
Yeah, they changed movies and pop culture moving forward.
I don't think we have the MCU if we take out either one of these movies.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Like this is their weird bastard love child. But it's so hard to figure out which one of these should move on because I think that there are areas where both of them succeed more than the other and also issues with both that the other one excels at.
Okay, so in the last episode, which our listeners probably didn't listen to, they knew that this was the episode to listen to. I fought hard for the Naked Gun.
Yes.
Against Akira. I knew that Akira was going to win, and I also probably thought it should. But I did bring up how Akira is an uneven movie.
Yeah.
It is all over the place. Die Hard, with all of its faults, is not that. Die Hard is almost a perfect screenplay, scene by scene, in that like the dialogue is way better than you would ever think a movie like Die Hard deserves. But also throughout the entire screenplay, the way that it goes up and down in Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, it is like nearly Chinatown perfect. And Akira is sort of just a semblance of scenes.
I disagree very strongly.
Akira's visual stuff, all the stuff that Akira brings is like it's there. It's awesome. It's amazing. But when we have to get down to the nitty-gritty, Taylor, this is the time.
I know it is, but I disagree that Akira is uneven.
Oh my God, how could you? You should be arguing something different than the fact that Akira is uneven.
I think that Akira is I think it doesn't follow the exact beats of a story that we are familiar with, but I think that it knows exactly what it's going for and when it needs to get where it needs to go at every moment. And I think it is the tightest 2 hours you could do with this story.
But you can very clearly see that somebody is taking their like magnum opus of comic books and trying to turn it into 2 hours and doing the best job that he possibly could.
And he did a great job. He did an excellent job, and it's great.
He did a great job, but pales in comparison to what the writers of Die Hard did, which is also based on a book. But like, this is the kind of thing where like, yeah, Akira is like sort of like the comics. They did a good job. It should have been 40 hours, but instead it's 2. And with Die Hard, they took a kind of shitty book and made it a 2-hour masterpiece.
I do feel like it should be pointed out that Akira is about as good an adaptation as you possibly could do of the story of the comic Akira.
Yeah.
Like it is that's very impressive in that way.
But you guys are talking about like, I've read the book and this is the best the adaptation could be, as opposed to like these two standalone films. You can feel the adaptation going on in Akira. It is great what he was able to do, or they, or whoever, but it's still wonky.
I agree that you can feel that it's an adaptation. I think that Akira, everything you need to understand Akira is in Akira.
Yes.
But it does at times heavily feel like an adaptation. Let me ask you a question I asked you last week when we talked about some of these movies. If I were going to say, I'm going to pop in a movie right now, you have to choose between Akira and Die Hard, and that's what we're going to watch. This isn't the only way or the best way to determine which movie is the movie of the year, but what would you rather see right now, Die Hard or Akira?
I mean, like, if we're if the three of us are with some ladies, typically we hang out with ladies, and like we're all talking,
and these ladies are fly.
Oh my God,
yeah,
they're fly as
all
shit.
fly ladies.
Yeah,
Everyone understands that,
and
right?
super real.
Nobody would say that the ladies were fly if they weren't fly.
No, that's not the kind of podcast that would do that.
And so it's just like a background movie. I would still say Die Hard. Like, I have seen Akira 1% the amount of times that I've seen Die Hard, but Die Hard I feel like we get sucked into, and Akira is more of a best of movie, like where you tune in for 5 minutes and then you tune out for 20 minutes.
Taylor,
if we're with these hypothetical fly ladies,
And they're so fly.
no, they're not hypothetical because they're real.
right.
Yeah.
If we're with these fly ladies, and like I think
When we're with these
when we're with these fly ladies, I'm sorry. I would put on Die Hard. If you're asking me which movie I want to watch right now, it is Akira. I want to be clear, Akira is specifically entirely up my butt. Like,
Yeah.
this is a movie that is essentially made for me. But even saying that, I think that Akira is such an interesting and complicated movie. And from the art to the music to just the entire way through, it is executed so incredibly. And I am still thinking of it. And I think this goes back to the Roger Rabbit versus Totoro argument, which is I think that I get Die Hard. There are still things that I'm thinking about Akira, and I don't know if I ever will wrap my head around all of
because there's nothing to wrap your head around.
the things that it is doing.
See, I think that the big difference is, and these two movies inarguably changed pop culture forever, right? We've
Yes.
established that.
That's-
but
yes.
with Die Hard, I think that Die Hard said, hey, everybody's bullshit could be good. And I think with Akira, people were saying, you could take this bullshit and make good. Like, Die Hard proved that a genre could be great, and Akira was like, take all of this material and these ingredients that I am throwing out there and now go on to make good.
Well,
and I think that means that Die Hard is...
the time has come to send one of these movies out and push the other one into the finals. So, Ryan, let's start with you. I think I know your answer, but what movie is moving forward?
It is Die Hard.
Taylor, which movie is moving forward?
I am going to pick Akira.
Now, it comes to me just like I hate,
Yes.
and I'm going to repeat something Ryan said, which is Akira is a assembly of really great scenes and images and things you think about. And I do think it coheres, but not quite in the same way that Die Hard does. And when we're trying to pick a 1988 movie that feels like the time, but is also timeless, changed pop culture, it's not a slam dunk for me, but it is Die Hard. Moving on into the
makes
final.
sense. That makes sense.
There
I
is
agree.
no movie that improved in as much in my estimation as Akira did through the course of this. That I have found like a new one of my new favorite properties. But I just am aware I would rather watch Die Hard right now. It's definitely more 88. It definitely has had more of an impact on the culture. Moving on, Die Hard, congratulations. When we come back, we're going to talk about SEX.
What? Sex, gentlemen.
That's what we are, the sex gentlemen, hanging out with fly ladies and definitely doing stuff with our penises.
Now, I got to admit, having been through this entire year, 88 was not the sexiest year.
It was not a sexy cinematic year, or the movies we watched were not sexy.
So
No.
if these nominees sort of stretch the definition of what sex means,
And
I
indeed they
apologize.
did.
Yep.
But this is what 88 had for us as sex scenes. Your first nominee is Beetlejuice in the Whorehouse from the film Beetlejuice.
So this quote sex scene is awful Beetlejuice, who has spikes sticking out all over his body.
Yes.
And he's going to pretend he's walking into a whorehouse, but the whorehouse is just like a flat. It's just like a painted piece of scenery. So Michael Keaton can't actually go into the whorehouse. So he just sort of like crab walks back and forth and goes like, hey, hey.
I got to say, though, as far as importance goes, I saw this at such an important age that anytime I'm going up to have sex, I do this same crab walk dance.
Yeah.
Hey.
But I'm glad you started with this, Ryan, because it really gives us an idea of what we're thinking of.
Yeah, this made the top of the list.
There's no like 9.5 weeks.
No,
from
there's no like
1988.
boiling hot eggs on a lady or like drinking vodka from a vagina. I don't know how sex works.
No,
Nope.
but that I wouldn't have known if you hadn't said that last part.
Your next nominee is from The Naked Gun. It's full body condoms.
Guys, this is, I don't know if it's the sexiest, but it is the funniest sex that has ever happened on screen.
And you know what? I keep going back to Big in this conversation about iconic scenes. Is this what The Naked Gun has to offer 2019?
It's-
Like,
I
is
think
this
it's-
the most memorable thing?
I think it's the biggest image. The only other one I could think of would be OJ like flying over the banister in the,
Killed it.
the
Yeah.
ball game. Yeah. Personally, the way I feel about it's always disturbed me that they're all wrapped up in rubber like that.
Oh, yeah.
So I've never liked it.
it makes me very uncomfortable.
Yeah, like
I have.
hot and sweaty.
Well, I have like a suffocation thing where I'm like, that seems like not a good idea.
Oh, you have that weird thing where you don't like suffocating? Oh, what a weird fear.
Taylor?
that you
Yeah,
have.
Suffocating.
just from like a very young age, I just haven't liked
Yeah.
suffocating. So it's just a thing about me.
I think I saw this scene before I knew what condoms were. So I thought this is what safe sex meant.
Also, you could buy these condoms at Spencer's Gifts, right?
Probably.
Yeah,
yes.
this was like
This
one
is
of the
why
things-
Spencer's Gifts exist.
Yeah, you would see at Spencer's Gifts on your like as you would pass them on your way to look at the posters.
Your next nominee, just to prove how sexy 1988 was, is Jessica Rabbit and Marvin Acme play Patty Cake in Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
now there's an energy in this scene.
Yeah, you can see the spark.
Yeah, right. Like, so they're not actually having sex, but Kathleen Turner is like panting a lot.
Yeah.
You know?
And saying patty cake.
Yeah.
Like, it's very, like, I don't think I will ever be able to play an innocent game of patty cake ever
No.
again in my life.
You know what 88 did was make everyone terrible lovers. Like, this is all
Yeah.
just the wrong information that you need for sex. It's not all giant body condoms and patty
I
cake.
think that's why for the past, like, 30 years, we've just had every single person be like, men are bad at sex.
And how,
Yeah.
like, the population has gone down. No one's
Yeah.
having babies because this is how we have sex.
We're playing patty cake.
Full body condom
We're
patty
slapping
cake.
them cakes.
Your next nominee is Josh Pushes a Boob in Big.
That's
This is
what,
going to win, you guys.
Like it's a button.
It's like-
he's
he
pushing a button.
shoves it back into her body.
it's the closest thing to actual sex that we've had on the list thus far.
If
it-
this was
it
Roger
is-
Rabbit, he would have pushed in the boob and like a big hump would have come out of her head.
It is intimate. I think it does capture. I'm 38 years old. When you get a chance to squeeze a boob, it's still.
You just
it makes
you got to
young.
push.
It's good.
So it's kind of sweet in its own way. He doesn't know what to do. It's not like he's not being rough or mean or anything like that. But man, it really underscores there's just not a lot going on in 88 sex wise.
And out of all the nominees, this is the one that took up the most of its own episode. Like we didn't talk about this other shit, but this one we spent some time on.
It's a push of a boob.
It's very much a 13-year-old boy touching a grown woman's boob.
And your final nominee, because Die Hard must be nominated in every category. It's all of the nudie pictures that are covering the Yakatomi Plaza.
Okay, besides this, there was no nudity this year in any of the movies we watched, but there was legit pinups.
You saw boobies. You saw nipples.
Yeah, dude, in the background of a lot of shots, and I have to tell you, it draws the eye.
I love how part of the Nakatomi Plaza is very businesslike.
Yeah.
But part of it is under construction, and what these construction workers do is they put up pictures of tits as soon as they can.
As soon as you get in there,
You got to put them titty pics up.
I very much feel like with movies like this, there is like a meeting at some point where they're like, listen, there's just not the possibility of putting tits in this movie, so we have to figure something out. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take centerfolds, and we're just going to sort of put them up in the back of all the scenes. And you know what? I'm
It
in favor
works,
of it.
yeah.
I'm in favor of
It
it.
works.
And we watched this movie on Blu-ray, high
Yeah.
def Blu-ray, so we saw those nipples so good.
Yeah, you could zoom right in.
All right.
Heard.
Your nominees are Beetlejuice and the Whorehouse, Full Body Condoms, Jessica and Marvin Acme playing patty cake, Josh Pushes a Boob, and nudie pictures in the Yakatomi Plaza.
Literally all of these are pop punk band names.
And just to underscore, we've had sex.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
100% with our penises.
Yeah.
All right. I now will open the envelope and reveal to you all.
But no, we put our balls right in a girl before.
Gentlemen, the winner is From the Naked Gun, Full Body Condoms.
I think it's the most
okay.
iconic.
It
Okay.
really is.
And the sexiest, like if you had to jerk off to one of these 5 things.
I'm choosing boobs plastered on a wall, my friend.
I'm choosing fully clothed people in large condoms.
Greg likes the Die Hard one because he realizes that his room is just like a construction site, just covered in pinups of boobies.
Dude, I live every day by one rule, which is I'm going to see some boobs today. I'm not going to go to bed tonight being like, did I see any boobs? Oh, my gosh. When we come back, we've done the sex. Should we do the violence?
Naked Gun, guys, and Die Hard have won every award. Naked Gun has more awards than every movie besides Die Hard.
Should we have? Do you think we should have put it in?
Let's move Akira out
Yeah.
and move Naked Gun in.
Sorry, Akira.
You had a good run.
Naked Gun is not nominated in this award for Best Violence.
For best violence?
It's
I
not.
can think of several instances of great
There
violence.
was so much violence in this.
But guys, Akira is.
That makes sense.
It's the opening bike scene.
Fuck yes. This is the scene that when people think of Akira,
Yeah.
this is the scene that they think of.
I thought, before I saw Akira for this season, I thought that it was all red motorcycles the entire movie.
Yeah,
And it's because of this scene.
Like people think that it is just a movie about people on motorcycles who fight each other, and that is a comparatively very small part of the movie.
But see, I think that's a way in which, and we don't see this a lot anymore, but that the marketing for a movie helps deliver the message of the movie when you are experiencing it in the theater.
Yeah, I wonder
Because-
what Japanese marketing for this movie was.
Because our experience with it is that this is a biker gang, and then stuff happens, and that's what the story is. These are kids who are also in a motorcycle gang, and then all this weird shit happens. And if you center the weird shit, you miss the idea of how weird it is for these high school kids to suddenly be dealing with this.
It's also complicated, this first scene, because I can recognize, because of pop culture, that I'm watching my heroes be fucking assholes.
Yeah.
You know, so I have to are they going to redeem themselves? Are these the assholes that I have to deal with the entire
There's
movie?
a part in this scene where an enemy bike is driven off the road, and it goes just through the window of a big restaurant, and a motorcycle is just now tumbling through a restaurant.
And that also has the great moment of the waiter seeing what's about to happen. He's like, "Fuck these customers! I am out of here."
And it has
Which is what you should do if you're a waiter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It has the shot of the movie, the shot that will exist forever, which is the
This
bike
bike
doing
slide?
the power slide
Yes.
as he turns around to go face
It's so fucking cool.
clown of the clowns.
This is probably going to come as no surprise, but your next 3 nominees are from Die Hard.
No
Oh,
way,
what?
Jose.
So here we go. The next one is John and Holly versus Hans. At the end, Holly's kidnapped, and they are working together like the married couple they should be. They should
Yeah.
not be separated. They should be together forever. Versus Hans Gruber, a international terrorist, and this married couple beats him.
Good violence has a reason that connects us emotionally to it. Otherwise, we don't care about
Yes.
it going on. This movie really is about John McClane losing his wife. They're not divorced. They're still married, but they're obviously headed towards, they're separated and they're heading towards divorce.
At this point, he has met Harry Ellis, who you know he doesn't like, and then he's also found a picture of his family face down in
Yeah.
her office.
And so for them to come together to defeat the terrorists as a unit, it's not just violence. In a way, isn't it
also
sex as well?
Yes. This
And
is-
I love having sex in my violence.
See, I think I'm about to give you guys 2 more Die Hard scenes, but because this comes at the end with all of that build-up and emotional stuff, how does this not win? Your next nominee is John's hose bungee from Die Hard.
This is
This is
another
the most iconic shot of the
Yes,
movie. Yes?
Yeah.
This is an extremely iconic shot. This is the motorcycle fight from Akira of Die Hard. And I think it's great. I don't know if it has what it takes to beat John and his wife versus Hans, but it is dope. And it's also more action-y than violence.
I think the problem with this scene is that it's really just the one shot.
Yeah.
Whereas in the finale of Die Hard, we have them working together, them looking, the tape gun, the watch, the letting go. There's so many aspects.
Yeah.
But this is really just that one jump that,
yeah. And this is the jump that would essentially create the action set pieces for every action movie for the next 20 years.
this is the one where John McClane learns, oh, fuck, I'm going to have to do this every 3 years for the next 12 years.
Yeah.
This is my life now. It has very much that vibe that runs through Die Hard, which is just making do
Yes.
with what you have.
Right. It's that Tony Hawk thing of, I'll skateboard off anything. I don't give
Yeah.
a shit. Your next nominee is John in the Vents. Guys, John at some point was in the vents. and there's a lot of stuff that goes on in those vents.
Hey, I'm in these vents. What can I say?
I'm going to let all the listeners listen to this Robert De Niro in the vents off that these 2 are going to do.
You talking events? You talking events?
Can
I don't see any other vents here. You must be talking events.
you milk my vents, Greg?
Hey, Greg, I got vents. Could you milk my vents?
Because it's not just the, oh my God, I'm in Southern California. I should go to Disneyland. What am I doing? It's not just that iconic line, but also the machine gun. Using the machine gun as his
Yes.
whole mountain climbing system.
One day a great vent is going to come and wash away all the scum off these streets.
And I will say, you're in prison with me. And then your final nominee is Roger Rabbit versus an entire kitchen. And Who Framed Roger Rabbit? This is the violence of the year.
This is it definitely has the most violence out of any of these
Isn't
on
that
our list.
what we're rewarding?
Well,
Most.
no, we are awarding the best.
No, most. It should be most.
Most
And
violence.
this is definitely by quantity most violence. How do we feel about the quality of this violence?
I think it's great. I think that it's clear that the people who directed this short that opened up this movie knew all about what came before them, but also it reminded me a lot of a well-done Itchy and Scratchy cartoon in that,
Yes.
we're doing it and parodying it at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's this is a very common cartoon plot line, but also this is horrifically violent.
And the idea that he nailed all of it, but
Yes.
then when he saw stars instead of seeing birds.
That's how he fucked up.
It really helps set the tone for it doesn't matter how much pain these things experience. If they make even one slight mistake.
And the fact that he nailed all of it, it makes us forget about the fact that he's animated and he'll do whatever the drawers draw and make him feel more like a Charlie Chaplin in that, like, I can't believe he's doing all these things, even though he's clearly a cartoon. Guys, I know that Akira beat Roger Rabbit, but this should be the one that Roger Rabbit takes down.
We didn't. Obviously, what did not make the cut is the shoe being dipped into the dip.
Which is that's like more best horror
That's
scene.
straight torture.
Yeah.
Best straight torture scene.
Best Eli Roth animation. So we have opening bike scene from Akira, John and Holly versus Hans, John's hose bungee, John of the vents, and Roger versus an entire kitchen.
Ryan, as you see, I have this envelope
I see
here.
I see it, I hear it, I
And
smell it.
I'm just opening it. Just normal.
Just a real,
The way you do with envelopes.
a real
Great, I
normal
can't believe
way.
how normally you're opening that
Yeah,
envelope.
I know. It almost goes without saying.
You're just like a normal guy
just
who got a letter.
just getting mail just in the adult world as you do. And the winner is Akira, the
Come
opening
on!
bike
Come
scene.
on!
Of course it is.
Taking it from 3 different Die Hard scenes.
It split the vote.
Well,
And
Die Hard
Die
split the
Hard-
vote, but it should have been Roger
Die
Rabbit.
Hard just being the movie that absolutely suplexed Akira.
It sure did.
When we come back, we are doing round 2, a battle 2. In our next matchup, we have my neighbor Totoro,
Who I have not met.
who you have not met. He's a good guy, dude. You know what?
He knows how to hang.
Bring over a 6-pack of beers. Versus Big, a movie about a kid becoming an adult who then does not immediately buy beers. Which I have to say, that's one thing Shazam did better than Big. I know Shazam is like the modern day Big.
Yeah.
They go and get beer almost immediately. They just don't enjoy it.
The 3 of us have had battles in this episode and the last episode that were close, but I knew who I was voting for in each battle. This one, oh my goodness. I really, like, are you guys close at all, or do you guys know what you're doing?
This one is very difficult for me. I am not sure. It's going to come down to which one I think I enjoyed more and which one I think deserves to go on.
We have been talking nonstop this episode and last about how My Neighbor Totoro is a poem that we want to revisit and get
Yes.
more of, right?
Uh-huh.
Like, that's the thing that this movie does is, like, we didn't understand it. We were super bored the entire time,
Yeah.
but we want to go back and revisit it. And then Big does all this stuff that we are surprised. We know that it should do, and then it does, and that's shocking.
Yes. And Big, I don't think is as shallow as some of the other movies that I think I at least have said, I get what this is. Like, I think there is more to dig into with Big, and it is doing some subtle things. But you're right, Totoro is, I think, the more subtle and more, like, capital A artistic of the films. But when talking about movie of the year 1988, it is hard to surmount Big, which we have addressed, has a scene that is essentially movies the scene.
Big is, I want to say, like almost the perfect movie. And part of that is it doesn't always make total sense if you think about any part of it too
Yeah.
long. I think even though both movies have like incredible elements of the fantastical, right? In one, there's like woodland spirits.
And I love both movies, like drops of fairy tale without being
Yeah.
a full-on, full-blown fairy tale.
In the second, a boy has his wish granted and becomes an adult-sized person. But in a way, Big is way less realistic of the two because it doesn't take from that premise and always draw conclusions about how people would react to what has happened.
It doesn't, but you got to admit that Big does say, even though it doesn't like hit all those buttons, it does say like, this is the premise and we're going to do it. Whereas
Yeah.
Totoro, like, again, that corn on the windowsill, Totoro doesn't really commit to whether or not, like, how fantasy it is.
Yeah.
And that bugged me in the episode, and you guys shot me down. And I get why. Like, no. Don't pay attention to the details. Pay attention to the overall thing. But these are two movies who have, like, highly complicated premises, and I think that one might do it better, even though neither one does it. No, they do it great in that they don't do it great. You know, like, they pay attention to what matters.
They're both movies about childhood.
Right.
Obviously, what is the better movie for depicting childhood?
Well, I mean, I think that Totoro has the more obvious, like, that's the most, like, it represents childhood better. Like, that is how childhood works.
It feels like childhood.
Yeah. I think Totoro is more of a movie about childhood, and I think Big is a movie about growing up. And I think that that's the main difference between how it handles childhood. Because whereas Totoro is a lot about this is what this small girl like behaves like, whereas Big is this is what this small child would behave like if he were in the body of an adult, and ways in which adults are also basically just children who are figuring out how to survive.
Yeah, every day is figuring out how to be an adult.
Yeah, because by the end, out of like 2 months, this child has figured out how to be like an adult in the business world.
I've been thinking about that a lot recently. How much of Big really is he is a 13-year-old kid in the body of a 30-year-old man, but he really does become 30 years old spiritually. He's like, I got a lot of work to do, okay? Leave me alone.
But, yeah, I think that ultimately means that the message of Big is, like, don't grow up too fast. Like, appreciate where you're at. Because if you don't, the things that you wish for, like if you wish that you were older, it's actually not that great. Whereas Totoro, I don't know what the message is as much. Like, appreciate childhood, but it's a movie that you can only appreciate, like, you can only reminisce on. You know, like, you can only say, like, I remember how great that was, but I don't want to be back there. Whereas Big sort of speaks to all audiences.
I feel like the message of Totoro is that the wonderment of childhood really can insulate you from the traumas of life.
Yeah.
That, like, it does work. Like, and when I think of that, it makes me immediately think of the movie Pan's Labyrinth, which argues extremely vigorously the opposite, which is that the wonderment of childhood will not in any meaningful way save you.
Okay, so the comparison, I guess, is that Totoro says, like, enjoy being in the bubble. And Big's like, don't pop that bubble. Because it's fucking shitty outside of the bubble of childhood.
And that, but I do think that doesn't sound hopeful. To me, Big is a little bit more hopeful because it says you can take elements of your childhood with you. I think Big says that you can achieve a synthesis between adult life and childhood wonder.
And I think the Totoro thing is working towards you can achieve a synthesis between Mei and Satsuki.
Yeah.
And that is ultimately less interesting to me.
It does feel like there's
a middle ground between 5 and 8.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is.
Yeah, but I think that's a very similar like conversation, just at a different stage where it's like children are not all the same.
Yes, I've never no movie's ever asked that question before. Is there a difference between 5 and 8? And Totoro says yes, 100%.
Yeah. And I think it is the difference between like the barest amount of acknowledgement of like things might be wrong, whereas like Mei in Totoro does not really comprehend that like there could be danger.
Yeah,
and Satsuki
everything will be fine.
Yeah, and Satsuki is things could go wrong.
Because Satsuki's at the age and of the personality where she's like, things could be wrong because you could step on like a thorn in the forest, or you could fail a math test. Like she has all of that, and also one of your parents might die.
Yeah. At this point, we have to vote in a second here. Can I just, as a way of closing this, point out one final time that in the movie there was only going to be one little girl until like very late in the production of the movie. Because most of what we talk about when we talk about this movie is the relationship between these two little girls, and it almost wasn't a part of it.
Best last-second decision in movie history.
They drew the poster for the movie when they still thought there was going to be one little girl instead of two, and it's like the most magical part of this magical movie is their relationship. It's just so wild they almost weren't in there. Taylor, what is it going to be? What's moving on?
I love both of these movies a lot. I think if we're choosing movie of the year, 1988, it is Big.
Ryan?
It's My Neighbor Totoro.
What? Are you fucking kidding me?
What in the world is happening?
What's happening?
My brain is melting. Wow. That I felt like that abdicated me of all responsibility, and now I have to actually decide which is these two movies. You know what? I yearn for the movie to be something that is deeper and that you can just, every time you watch it, you feel like you find something new. That is the spirit of movie of the year. And because of that, there's no way Big can compete with My Neighbor Totoro.
Are you fucking kidding me?
My Neighbor Totoro moving on to the finals.
Before we move on, can we just imagine Die Hard with, instead of Alan Rickman, it is Totoro. Just with all of Hans Gruber's lines.
Wow, Taylor looks like he is absolutely shook.
Yeah, no, it turns out that Akira sucks and Totoro is great.
I wait, what?
I do think that it is fitting that Akira has been moved out and Totoro has been moved in as a piece of art. This is the superior. All right, but what we have to do is we have to stop talking about this now and move on to what is it? Just the final?
Well, no, we have Best Actor and Best Actress,
Yes,
and
okay.
then the final.
So next, Best Actress and then Best Actor.
Gentlemen, let's start with the women. Who was the Best Actress of 1988? And I do have, you guys don't know this yet, but the board had to make some concessions.
Ooh.
Listening to the My Neighbor Totoro episode, I watched the Japanese version. You guys both watched English dubs.
Yes.
And listening to the episode, we found out that you guys watched different English dubs.
Yeah, and I watched the bad one.
Yeah. I watched the one with the Fanning sisters.
Yeah.
And so Mei and Satsuki cannot be nominated for Best Actress because we listened to 3 different actresses.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And so we have 5 different actresses for Best Actress. Here are your nominees. Gina Davis from Beetlejuice.
She is, I think, other than possibly Lydia, she is the standout star of Beetlejuice.
I think that Gina, and it's such a bummer that she's gone from our life, but she is such a charming, awesome star. You know, like she has star power that really League of Their Own and like I miss
Cutthroat
her.
Island.
Cutthroat Island.
the
Last
classics.
Kiss Goodnight. She was in all the
She
great.
became an action star for a little bit. Her character is a little bit flat in this movie, but that just makes what she does more impressive.
Yeah.
What she does over Alec Baldwin is she wants a baby.
Yes.
And she sees Winona Ryder as her baby.
Yeah.
And that's where she gets like stuff to do.
Yeah, and I think that chemistry really helps her to bring out like what Greg is
Do you
right.
mean the scene where she teaches Winona Ryder chemistry and they're pouring beakers into
Yeah.
beakers?
But I think Greg is right. Like what the script has given Gina Davis to do here is not a whole lot. And,
Often, like in the script, often she's just like confused about what's going on. There's a book and she can't read it.
Yeah.
And so Alec Baldwin's like, well, I read the book. And she's like, I just couldn't even get through that. I'm just so simple.
but Gina Davis makes a meal out of that part.
And he starts
really,
hitting himself in the head with the book. Like, what are you doing? I feel like all of these nominees are going to prove that 88 was not a strong year for actresses. The next one is Elizabeth Perkins from Big, who did a great job, but that's a supporting role. She's nominated for Best Actress.
I mean, listen, she looks just like Millie Bobby Brown.
Right.
She
knows how to get a boob pushed.
She, for whatever reason, had to do something different in almost every single scene.
Yeah.
And because of that, her character didn't always feel like it had consistency. But, like, do you guys feel like you act the same from scene to scene, or do you feel like you're different people from time to time?
Well, whenever I move to a new scene,
yeah.
I generally I feel like I maintain a slightly different energy, but the same core character.
The same principles.
Yeah.
The same big 3.
Again, I said this a lot on the Big episode, but like her at the carnival, that was acting.
That was
Like,
the
yeah,
best
that was
moment
some
of that
good
movie.
performance.
Her performance is in that scene is the best moments of the movie.
But I think for every moment of her at the carnival, there is also
An equal and opposite moment.
I think there is a her at the dinner party
where she's trying to have sex with someone who's obviously mentally challenged.
Yeah, and that part doesn't quite play, but I think that is again she was given garbage to work with.
Also, I think at that part, if she had just said, "I'm just trying to get one in,"
Yeah,
I think we would have been like, "I get it, okay."
yeah, okay.
Your next nominee is Priscilla Presley from The Naked Gun.
I mean,
She's going to win, right?
yeah, like she's doing
She was married to Elvis.
what?
Presley, not Costello.
I feel like I would have heard of this. She definitely commits to the role. She doesn't have to just be funny in what is like I think classically the role they've given to female comedians. She falls all over the place. She seems like a doofus and not in just like the classic like I'm a dumb blonde way, but just in like falling over and slapstick. Was she ever in anything other than this? Like
she spent 30 years not acting because she was married to Elvis and then was in The Naked Gun.
Yeah, like it really. I appreciate that she had as much like slapstick ability as Leslie Nielsen in this movie.
And the reason I like this nominee is because you can hear the makers of the movie saying, like, oh man, wouldn't it be funny if we cast Priscilla Presley? Wouldn't that be hilarious? But then she actually did a good job.
Yeah.
Like, she was actually great.
It's like when you see Amy Adams, who you historically think of now as a prestige actress, and she's in like Talladega Nights and fucking crushes it.
Yeah.
Like it's someone that you don't expect to be very, very funny, and then just crushes every scene that she's in.
Talladega Nights, they were riding cars. What if you were a writer of Winona? That's the next nominee. Winona Ryder from Beetlejuice.
I've mentioned her already. I think she is the best actress in Beetlejuice.
I feel like this is another one of those, like, oh yeah, I know Winona Ryder, so I guess she did the best job.
But there's not a lot for her to do.
There's not a lot for her to do, yeah.
Yeah.
We talked about in our Beetlejuice episode how it goes from the Maitland story to Winona Ryder story. So she really only has half a movie.
Yeah.
And she does okay.
I think she does enough that I care. I think it really is the chemistry between her and Gina Davis is really the only relationship.
That's the one.
that
The
I
mom
care
and daughter
about.
thing is strong
Yeah.
in this movie.
This is where it's kind of fucked that Heathers didn't make it.
Yeah.
'Cause she was also in Heathers and did a way better job. Like, was a way more interesting person, had a way better performance. I think really showcased her abilities a lot better.
Guys, watch Heathers. It's a very good movie.
the TV show, right? The Paramount TV show. That's
Yes,
what you're talking about?
absolutely.
On
Go
the
watch
Paramount Network.
Actually, go watch the movie Heathers and then go watch the TV show Heathers and think, what the fuck happened in that time period? What changed?
Call your cable provider.
And
Yeah.
then finally, it's Kathleen Turner from Who Framed Roger Rabbit. And now this is just the voice of a cartoon. But Moody has a history of this. We gave an award to Joan Cusack for Toy Story 2
Oh, yeah.
for Best Supporting Actress. So could she win
I-
being Jessica Rabbit?
Now, technically, the voice of Jessica Rabbit is an uncredited position, so we'll never really know who did this.
That is true.
A lot of people speculate that it's Kathleen Turner, but
yes, it's not
if
credited.
you look in the credits, she's not there.
But I do think that this is. We talked about it on the Roger Rabbit episode. Her voice performance is incredible. Like it is. Like for
knowingly sexy.
Yeah,
That's what I like.
knowingly sexy, and to the point that like any noir, even remotely based, like character in this vein is trying to do this Jessica Rabbit voice.
She has seen Jessica Rabbit has seen dozens of damsels in distress in like noir movies, and like sort of wants to play that up, but also knows like how stupid they all are.
Yes, and she fucking crushes it. And when she says stuff like, "I'm not bad, I'm just drawn that way."
Whoa,
I have
Taylor,
a full
come
on
on.
erection right now.
Come on, buddy.
That was insane.
Trying to make a fucking show here.
Yeah,
Don't do that.
what are we doing right
That's
now?
ridiculous. Okay, just read who won.
All right.
So your nominees are Gina Davis from
Baseball,
Beetlejuice,
baseball,
Elizabeth Perkins, Priscilla Presley, Winona Ryder, and Kathleen Turner.
And your winner is. Just gonna open this envelope.
No, but like open it like a real person.
I'm very truly
No, like
struggling.
use your hands.
I am actually.
You don't need to use your feet.
Okay,
It's like a monkey.
gentlemen, and your winner is from Who Framed Roger Rabbit. It's Kathleen Turner.
That feels pretty good.
Yes, I feel positively about that.
That doesn't seem like a strike against the actresses of 1988.
No, it does. Hearing the finalists, it
Yeah.
wasn't a strike against the actresses of '88. It was something we didn't talk a ton about. I feel like in the season, I feel like we gave '88 credit for its like inclusiveness, but listening to that lineup, there were not good lead female parts in 90.
We were all trying to be like,
Yeah.
they did a good job.
I feel like the showcases for like best actress category didn't make the top of the list. Like I think there were performances that were in movies that otherwise let them down.
Yeah, so it
I
might
feel
have been
like there might be a reason that we saved Best Actor for last, because Best Actress just didn't bring the nominees.
Well, Ryan, that sounds like a wonderful segue.
Thanks, bud.
Why don't we take a quick break and then talk about the best actors?
Actor, gentlemen, the males.
This is when an actress is a man.
Right.
Yeah.
They don't have the vagina anymore. It's just the penis.
Oh, so in your world, the actress has both a vagina and a penis?
And this was a weird year because this is the first time that we've ever had 6 nominees instead of the 5. What? Yes, we had 6 nominees.
Is there precedent for this, or is this unprecedented?
This is unprecedented.
Wow. I'm doing the rest of the show under protest.
Your nominees are Tom Cruise for Rain Man.
Okay, I fucking hated this character, but I was supposed to hate the character, right?
Right.
Wasn't he doing his job?
And also, you have only known Maverick at this point.
Yeah.
So, like, oh, maybe he can act.
I feel like he got the whole point of the movie across, which is that he is much more socially inept than his brother, who just has this condition.
Maybe I have autism.
Yeah, something like that. But I have to say, I don't have the fondest memories of the character. Even though the character is supposed to be so terrible, it reminds me so much of Magnolia from '99. You knew that guy was supposed to be awful, and part of you felt bad for him. But he is so awful that I feel like I fucking hate him, and I don't want him to win.
Your next nominee is Tom Hanks from Big.
He absolutely did become a 13-year-old boy.
Yes. If I don't think I've ever seen an adult man so intensely get inside of a teenage boy.
Did we talk about the fact that
You're
they,
not good at talking about this movie, Taylor.
No, I'm not.
the fact that they filmed all of the scenes with the 13-year-old
Yeah.
Josh, and then he just sort of like did that same thing? And
Yeah,
now he's going to be in a movie where he's Mr. Rogers, a person that's way older than him.
Uh-huh. And trying to, become that person.
What if we gave Tom Hanks an award?
What if we just did it? What if just to fuck around, we just did it? We didn't even read the rest of the nominees.
What if we just did it in More Legends?
And we're just legend. I feel like there could be ample opportunity to be hammy and to overdo this. Do you guys feel like he did it a little bit too much?
No, I feel like that. Like, he always had in the back of his head, don't do this too much.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like he nailed just enough the amount of I'm a kid and I'm playing, and also when it was time for I'm a kid and I'm very, very scared.
Yeah. We talked about this movie in the show, and we said that its big set pieces are bigger than the movie itself. But really,
Bigger than before.
bigger than before. But his performance is really, when you watch it, the thing that stands out more than anything else, right?
It is the movie, yeah.
Yeah,
for
it is
sure.
the entire movie. So probably nobody deserves it more than Mr. Hanks.
Your next nominee is Bob Hoskins from Who Framed Roger Rabbit. And I understand. Eddie Valiant. Like, close to the vest, close to the chest. He's a serious
Close to, you know what I always say? Close to the vest, close to the chest.
But he does that thing at the end where he out-tunes tunes. Did you think that Bob Hoskins was capable of that?
I did not. And I think the movie could have done a little bit more to establish for the audience that he's going to do something like this. Because it wasn't until I watched the movie this time that I realized that there are clues that he used to be a clown.
We talked about the fact that they took a police picture and him and his brother, I'm so sorry, had clown noses on their nose.
They were called the Clown Princes of the police force.
Which is crazy because as far as I'm concerned, there's only a clown prince of crime.
Bob Hoskins had to do something that it will now forever be a part of acting, but I don't think was done much at this point, which is you have to play off like a ball on a stick
Right.
for
Yeah.
most of what you're doing, and then they put in the character on top of that. Now, that's just being an actor. You are never in the same room as your co-stars.
Yeah.
But
Scarlett Johansson hasn't talked to a person
no,
for like 8 years.
They don't let her out of that little box she's in. It's painted totally green, and so they can have her anywhere they want her.
The recent Lindsay Lohan werewolf movie, she didn't leave her fucking house.
Because she was not legally allowed to.
Yeah.
They had to work in the fact that she was wearing that anklet.
So the next one, Michael Keaton, Beetlejuice. We've talked a lot of shit on Beetlejuice for the last 2 episodes, but
Yes.
is this worthy of a Best Actor nominee?
I think it is.
Yes. It is a crazy unhinged
Is it a tour de force?
Yes. It is an unhinged performance that without this performance, no one would give a single flying
It isn't
fuck
a
about
movie.
this movie. No, it's not. Like, without his performance, people would be like, Beetlejuice, what is that? Like fucking Midnight Run? That's not a real movie.
Come on now.
To even call the movie Beetlejuice and then to only have him be in it for like 30 minutes,
Yeah.
he has to dominate everything when he is part of it. And he does. I have problems with this movie. It's not with his performance. I think he did exactly what he was supposed to. He was supposed to be like...
And then some.
Yeah, and so he did a great job. The weird thing about the movie is just that he's only in it for a very short time.
Yeah.
All right, so this is a tough category. We have Tom Cruise, Tom Hanks, Bob Hoskins, Michael Keaton, Leslie Nielsen from The Naked Gun.
Oof.
This is what's tough about The Naked Gun. Is he's doing exactly what he's supposed to. That it plays the role exactly the way it was written. But
No,
do we
I say
give it
way
less
more.
credit?
Way more. Like, how could How could they think that Leslie Nielsen was capable of all of this stuff?
I think Leslie Nielsen being Leslie Nielsen.
But he takes the performances from movies he was in as a younger actor, and he just doesn't update them.
And then adding Airplane.
What's so genius about it, though, is he doesn't ham them up, really. It's the same performance that he gave in dramas when he was 20 years younger.
Yeah, and he's always doing the thing where he is acting after the camera's cut. So when he watches his car crash into another thing, he's saying oh, I assume the camera's cut, and then is still acting and not me.
Did anybody get the license plate of that?
Yeah.
He honestly, of all the movies we watched for the show this season, his performance was the thing I was almost most impressed by, because it would be so easy to sell it short or to do it over the top.
Yeah.
And he gets the perfect level.
He mama bears it.
He mama sharks it.
Your final nominee is Bruce Willis from Die Hard.
Come out to the coast, win an award.
Now, Taylor, Greg has recently said that The Rock is the worst actor he has ever seen.
How dare
okay,
you?
I
How
didn't-
fucking dare you?
I
Is
said-
Bruce
Greg-
Willis in Die Hard?
I
just
said
being
that on
The
a
Rock?
break. You can't. It was a break.
Pivot, guys, pivot.
Listen.
Is Bruce Willis just The Rock?
What do you mean? What do you mean by
does
that?
he have such a small range that he can never get an award?
No, absolutely not. Because
There's no way Bruce Willis is The Rock.
No, because The Rock is Dwayne Johnson.
He was
Bruce
the late
Willis-
80s, early 90s
The
Rock.
The Rock learned how to act by standing inside a very small ring in a very big arena and trying to act to the back row. And you never see him stop trying to act to the back row of a big arena.
But in Die Hard, do you feel him going through a divorce and a terrorist attack all at the same time?
Yes.
Yes.
Is he that actor?
Yes, for sure.
I do not think that Bruce Willis could have done any better job of portraying a man who's an everyday big city cop who's going through a divorce and he's in an unfamiliar location and is also in some air vents while his wife is under attack by terrorists who are posing as Germans, but they're actually there for financial fraud. I don't think that anyone could have ever done a better job of that.
And based on the last two episodes, is he the guy to beat? Is
Yes,
Bruce Willis
yes.
the guy to beat?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
for sure.
If he closes this out, it will close out the best villain, best actor, and best duo.
I will be shocked if he doesn't win.
Your nominees are Tom Cruise, Tom Hanks, Bob Hoskins, Michael Keaton, Leslie Nielsen, and Bruce Willis.
And I have here the envelope. Tearing it open now. Going to be reading to you any second. The winning
Taylor,
performance.
is Greg good at opening envelopes?
And it is Tom Hanks from a little movie called The Big.
Well.
The Big. Tom Hanks. Congratulations.
This was the only guy who was nominated for the Oscar.
I mean, yeah, that checks out. It seems like we are
Weak? Does this mean that we're weak?
No,
We're weak people, yeah.
I think that, well, Greg, let's not jump ahead of ourselves. I think that this is one situation where we say, you know what, we'll give the Oscars one. They're right twice a day because they're a broken clock.
You heard it here first. Oscars, Broken Clock, Tom Hanks, Best Actor of his generation. When we come back, we're going to pick the 1988 Movie of the Year. Is it Akira? Nope, it's not going to be Akira. Is it going to be
Rub it in. Just rub it in.
Is it going to be Die Hard or My Neighbor Totoro? So once again, it cannot be Akira because that movie's already out.
Okay, well, you know what? That's
I just wanted to make sure. There was a lot of talk about it. We are up to the very last matchup. My Neighbor Totoro versus the number one seed. The movie that, frankly, I think some people are like, why even have a bracket for 1988? Why even have a season of your show about it?
It has a big ownership over this year. Die Hard owns this year.
It owns a lot of decades.
It's enjoyed a little bit of a renaissance of popularity, right? Like, it was big when it first came out. It was big for maybe 10 years after that. But I feel like now there's been a resurgence because we think of it as sort of like the first of the real big action comedies.
Yeah. And I think...
And now, like, most movies that do well in the box office are action comedies.
And I think it had the boost of the thing that has become sort of played out at this point with the people who are like, yeah, I watch Die Hard every Christmas because Die Hard's a Christmas movie. And then, like, that became a a thing that people are like, please stop telling me about how Die Hard's a Christmas movie.
It got its own is a hot dog a sandwich conversation.
Yeah.
Like, it just now has that whole thing like, well, I'm getting to know you. Do you think Die Hard's a Christmas movie? Oh.
Also, I'll fight you.
Yeah.
fight
Always
you
fight
right
those
now.
people.
And also, a hot dog is a sandwich.
No, I've learned that it's a taco.
Well, that's not...
Is a
taco
taco
is
a
a
hot dog.
Christmas
It's a
movie?
taco.
Well, a taco, depending on whether or not it's made on bread, is a sandwich. But Die Hard is a taco.
I promise this is the last time this season I will ask you this question. I'm going to put in a movie right now, you guys. After we're done with the show, I'm going to pop in a VHS into the VHS machine player. What do you want to see? Do you want to see My Neighbor Totoro right now, or do you want to see Die Hard right now?
I'm so stoked that Totoro made it this far.
I
think it means we're smart.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're smart, good
we're
people.
international, right?
Uh-huh.
Like, we love the cultures of other cultures.
We're great podcast boys.
But come on now, what are we doing?
I mean,
here?
listen,
and also we hate we're so punk rock that we hate like the first seed moving all the way on.
Yeah.
But this is a first seed that cannot be denied.
I absolutely love My Neighbor Totoro. It is has become one of my favorite movies. That said, I said earlier that Die Hard versus Akira was my number 1 and number 2, and I stand by that. I think Die Hard moves on because Die Hard is it invented what action movies would become, like through to today. Like, it is the movie.
But it's not just that. Like, forever throughout the 90s, we had Die Hard on a blank, right?
Yes.
So it invented all of those. But it also had the what if Jean-Claude Van Damme had a personality and he was a normal guy. And that's the thing that was crazy.
Yeah.
That's the thing that we were like, we wouldn't know how to deal with that.
And there's a little bit of depth to this movie, right? I felt like when we talked about it on the show, I feel like it's saying something about terrorism. I feel like it's saying something
it's
about
bad.
international banking. Yeah. Also maybe bad.
Yeah,
I
and
think it's saying something about accents, usually bad.
like it is because when you say terrorism now, you definitely think like 9/11. But like this was like decades before, dealing with like that same issue and tying into like a lot of the exact same things.
The hard part about watching it is that like I am also separated right now from my wife, and
Talk about Mike, of course.
I don't know how to like deal with that. But in this movie, they said that they deal with it by like watching your separated husband like kill a bunch of terrorists.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's what I'm supposed to do, but I feel like that I can figure out my separation much like John McClane did. I will figure it out, and I will make things okay.
And maybe by saving Mike and like carrying him out of like a burning building.
I will carry Mike no
You'll
matter
carry
what. Yes.
Mike. Okay, so I feel like I can see the way this is going. So let me just ask you, if it's gonna be Die Hard, which it feels like it's gonna be, is it dumb that we did this whole season about it because it was the number 1 seed?
Not at all. We got to watch Akira.
Yeah.
We got to watch Totoro, and Totoro made it so close.
Yes.
Totoro was almost the number 1. If Mike was here, it might have been. Like,
Yeah.
Totoro was almost the 88 movie.
I feel like if we said that we were going to vote for Totoro, it would kind of be against our
Punk
real
rock.
inclinations. Yeah.
Yeah. It
Because-
would be betraying our real thoughts.
But then I look at the pantheon of the movies that we've already enshrined as movie of the year. So 99 was Eyes Wide Shut.
Eternal Sunshine.
Eternal Sunshine was 2004. 2018 was Roma. This is our broadest movie
That's true.
Yeah.
if we voted for it, right? Like
I
Totoro
think Totoro fits more
into that picture
category,
of
yeah.
the movies that we've chosen, right?
So what you're saying is by picking Die Hard, we are actually still punk rock.
And we're manly men. We have such big biceps.
I think what we're doing is we're changing a little bit the character of the show, because I think if we pick Die Hard, that's what the show is always supposed to be, which is the movie that makes you think of 88 the most and is good. Because there's no way the average person, like when they reflect on 88, they think of My Neighbor Totoro.
Yeah. Like it
Not in America anyway.
Yeah. Like Totoro became like the symbol of all of Studio Ghibli for like a reason. But I don't think that if you were thinking of a specific year in time, you would pick My Neighbor Totoro.
That's true. That and that, like, Die Hard was the number 1 seed, and I feel strongly that Die Hard should win. But I cannot tell you guys how close I came to saying, but wouldn't it be better for humanity if we just picked Totoro?
Uh-huh.
Like, and my
Yeah.
fierce Roger Rabbit argument, and like how big I think represents everything that we want to be, we were then and want to be in the future. Like, I know the number one seed won, but man, there are 4 other movies that like are like from the bottom of my heart now because of the season.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to call for the vote. I think I know how it's going to go. Taylor, let's start with you. What is 1988's movie of the year, according to Taylor?
According to Taylor, the movie of the year for 1988 is Die Hard.
Gregory, I hate to take this crown off you,
Uh-huh.
but I'm voting Die Hard.
All right. Congratulations to 1988's Die Hard, because you are now movie of the year enshrined next to such amazing movies as Eyes Wide Shut, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, and Roma. When we come back, we're going to tie a nice little ribbon on this entire season. We did it, you guys. We watched every single movie from 1988, if I remember correctly.
And we pared them all down.
And we decided that the one that everybody talks about as the best movie from 1988 was indeed. Now we have proven it.
It's Jaws.
We did
right?
it. We did it with science and some screaming.
And a little bit of screaming. I have to say though, we're not just trying to be contrarians, right? Like we didn't say like, well, we don't want to pick the number one seed as the movie of the year. And I feel like a lot of times this season it felt like this was an inevitability. But over the course of the past few weeks, I do feel like this is not just because it was the number one seed, it won.
Yeah.
Die Hard really is. It's funny. There's action. There's an asshole with a beard. There's a big Japanese building in
It won
LA.
several movies.
Yeah.
There's several times where you hear Bruce Willis go,
Only in L.A. Can't believe it. Look at these short shorts. Oh, my God. In New York, we don't have anything like this. People just walking around like they're in the underpants. Oh, my God.
These were fine, Greg, but can I tell you about some other movies?
sure, why not?
Have you ever heard of Titanic?
Whoa!
Have you ever heard of Face Off?
I have, man, I've heard of all these movies.
As Good as It Gets,
Yes.
Starship Troopers, LA
Yes.
Confidential, Boogie Nights, Jackie Brown, Good Will Hunting, The Fifth Element, I Know What You Did Last Summer, Event Horizon, Gattaca, The Full Monty, Batman and Robin, Con Air, Men in Black, The Game, The Lost World, Jurassic Park.
I heard all those. I think I've seen every single movie you just said, including Event Horizon, which is scary as shit, but I didn't know
can't
it.
believe I saw that with you.
Yeah.
You were so scared.
I was so scared, and I'm still fucked up by it.
Austin Powers, International Man of Mystery, Akanda, Alien Revolution, Grosse Point Blank, Tomorrow Never Dies, The Ice Storm, Scream 2, The Devil's Advocate, Amistad, Jason Amy, Donnie Brasco. My God. There's so many movies, guys.
Why did you name all those movies?
Why are those movies the movies you're talking about?
Oh, those are the movies from 1997.
Wait, Ryan, every movie that you just mentioned came out in 1997?
Lost Highway, Contact, Air Force One, My Best Friend's
Contact?
Wedding, Spawn, Dante's Peak, Wag the Dog, The Apostle Hercules, Anastasia, Cube, Liar Liar. Yeah, they all came out in 1997.
But Ryan, which of those movies that you have just listed was the movie of the year for 1997?
Mimic, George of the Jungle, Romeo and Michelle's High School Reunion, The Postman, The Edge, Conspiracy Theory, Life is Beautiful, The Rainmaker, Volcano.
Mouse
We're-
Hunt?
Were any of them the 1997 movie of the year for 1997?
Greg, the one thing that all of those movies have in common is that none of them have been named the best movie of 1997.
Ryan,
What, Greg? What? What could you possibly say to me?
I propose that we set about the task of determining 1997's movie of the year for 1997.
Wow. This seems like too much for us. Are you sure that we're capable of
I
doing
am
this?
ready to tackle this.
Do we have the science and the screaming?
I will bring the screaming if you guys bring the science.
Oh, I have
I'm
so
out.
much science.
So this is our official announcement that 1997 is the next year we are tackling. How old were you, Taylor, in 1997?
Depending on the month of 1997,
Granted.
I was probably, for most of it, 5 years old.
All right. I think that's how old Ryan and I
Yeah.
were.
We were all 5. We were fucking Muppet babies, just trying to see, like, what's up, world?
I am very excited to determine 1997's movie of the year for 1997. The movie of the year for 1988 is, of course, Die Hard. Congratulations, Die Hard. We will be back with an all-new season before you know it. But until then, unless you're Shady Monk, keep watching them movies.